It doesn't get much better than urban hikes at Buena Vista Park here in San Francisco. It doesn't get much worse than what the 49ers have been putting on tape along the line of scrimmage, both sides, over the past 3 games. But they have completely lost their way in terms of running the football. And it coincided with Trent Williams being hurt. Got hurt early against Cleveland, played the rest of the game, but they weren't able to move the ball on the ground. And that obviously allows them to control the ball, set a backbone for not only their offense, but for their whole team when it comes to ball hogging, ball possession, that kind of stuff. Williams obviously didn't play the following game against Minnesota. Only 17 rushes for 50-something yards for the 49ers. And same thing happened yesterday against the Cincinnati Bengals. Not a good run defense. Only 17 rushes, 50-something yards for the 49ers. Brock Purdy was their leading rusher. Well, without a run game, any team in the NFL is going to struggle. But without a run game, the 49ers just won't be able to execute their complementary formula. I look back at Week 9, 2021. They fell behind the Cardinals because the defense was terrible. They had to play come from behind. They're throwing way too much. Garoppolo throws for 350, but there's no sense of stability. There's no sense of game control from the 49ers because they can't run. Running is the mechanism for game control, especially in Kyle Shanahan's system. The very next week, they played the Rams. Everybody thought the 49ers wouldn't have a chance. They were able to play complementary football, which meant 44 runs, 150 plus yards, 40 minutes of possession. They shielded the defense and everything was A-okay. That's the type of football the 49ers are going to have to strive to play coming out of the bye. And there's several ways and several things that you have to check off the list to get to over 40 runs. It doesn't just happen because you call 40 runs. But the offense can look at and the offensive line needs to look at itself first. And Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel have both been on the bench. I think the 49ers need both of these guys back. Deebo brings a toughness aspect that I think makes the offensive line better, if that makes sense, just because it's a physical sport and guys have to get in that mentality. I think a lot of people who haven't played the sport, who haven't interacted with these guys, they underestimate the impact that somebody like Deebo Samuel has for a team getting that mental edge in the physical aspect of the game, right? And the 49ers have had that ever since Deebo joined the team with his bully mentality in 2019. But just from an offensive line technique, schematic standpoint, Trent Williams is a cheat code. And you need Trent Williams on that left side. Just his size, speed combination is rare. We're talking Hall of Fame level rare. And I mean, you could start with his ability to pass protect so Brock Purdy doesn't have to be running for his life on standard base downs, but it's the outside wide zone blocking game that the 49ers attack so well to the left side when they have those combination blocks with Trent Williams and George Kittle that they're just not hitting right now. But I think that you have to take long, hard looks at the center position. Jake Brendel got blown off the ball by DJ Reader early in this game on the 3rd and 1 that set the tone. The 49ers got stuffed, and Spencer Burford has really struggled both with penalties and pass protection and just executing some necessary run blocks for the 49ers at right guard. 49ers have John Feliciano, a veteran who has started games at both guard positions and center on their roster. And John Feliciano may be a player they have to give a look to. So, it remains to be determined if the 49ers have enough depth on this offensive line to make a serious title push. That's one thing that I've been most critical about this team over the years, not just this season, but over the years. I've maintained that they're in a position that they require exceptionally good health fortune along the front to keep their legitimate Super Bowl title chances intact. And so far, that worry has fleshed out to be true, right? Because without Trent Williams, they haven't been able to run the football. If you can't survive games without Trent Williams, who's literally a walking cheat code, you probably don't have good enough depth up front. Now, the trade deadline's coming. The problem is that good offensive linemen are in short supply. So I do think that the 49ers are just going to have to ride this out and hope that Trent gets healthy and stays healthy, because from what I've seen from this team so far, he is that important to their success, and the drop-off to the next guy is that big, especially since that interior line, the law firm, right, Banks, Brendel, Burford, hasn't been good enough to carry things on its own. I think the best barometer of the 49ers struggling up front is how tough of a time they've had getting 1 yard when they've needed it over the past 2 weeks. That led to Brock Purdy's concussion against Minnesota, right? Because they were struggling just to get 1 yard on 2nd and 1. They couldn't get it on 2nd and 1. They couldn't get it on 3rd and 1. Finally get it on 4th and 1. It was a pain just to get that 1 yard. Shows that they're not, and then it happened again in the first possession against Cincinnati. It shows that they're not blasting off the ball the way that they should be, right? So this football team needs to fortify itself up front, whether it's, Trent Williams helping the technique of the guys inside just because he gives them more breathing room, because defenses have to pay more attention to Trent because he could bowl over you at any time. If it's, I think Brock Purdy's doing a fine job loosening opposing defenses with his arm. That's not the 49ers' issue. He's even running for his life when this line can't pass protect for him. So maybe it's that Deebo Samuel addition on top of the Trent Williams return that can put the 49ers in a better position up front. They need to start playing bully ball again. They need to be the aggressors up front because they saw Cincinnati take it to them along that offensive line. Then, you lose both lines of scrimmage. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback, right? You're going to, in almost every case, lose the football game. By extension, the 49ers defensive line is also getting dominated. They're not setting edges. And that's why you're hearing 49ers and Montez Sweat. They might trade for Montez Sweat. He's one of the best run-stopping edges in the game over the past 4 years. So Montez Sweat from Washington, that could be somebody the 49ers need, because Drake Jackson right now has proven to be unplayable on some of these rundowns after he got flattened by Hawkinson, a tight end. He got pancaked against Minnesota. The 49ers are really struggling on that. And even Nick Bosa struggled to set an edge, which is uncharacteristic of him. But the 49ers need to do better there on the defensive line. I think they're getting washed out too much with Javon Kinlaw, even Javon Hargrave on the interior. So both lines of scrimmage are struggling. That is not a formula for success. Perhaps the 49ers find reinforcements there, either on their own roster through somebody like John Feliciano, obviously Trent Williams, who should be coming back from his ankle injury, maybe right after the bye. The 49ers certainly hope so. And potentially through the trade market on the other side. It's mandatory. You have to win up front in this National Football League. Philadelphia has certainly been winning up front here a lot over the last couple of years. That's led them to good places, a good offensive line, a good defensive line. The 49ers, on paper, we knew that they had a really good defensive line. We know they have a Hall of Fame player on the O-line in Trent Williams, but they haven't put it together yet this season. And the first order of business for this football team will be to put that together over the course of this bye. Talk about Steve Wilks and all the schematic issues that the 49ers have in a bit, maybe a little bit more on the trade deadline, but you have to start at the base, and that is the line of scrimmage.